Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about my 10 before the end. Now, is it quite literally the middle of November? Yeah. And am I also not reading as much as I would like? Also, yeah, but I want to remain hopeful, and if anything, this will just serve as my priority list. So whenever I want to pick a new read, I hopefully will choose from these ones. I just want to put my attention on these books because either I've had them for a very long time, or these are just books that I'm very curious about and that I wish I had already read. And I might not read every single one of these, and that's okay because reading doesn't need to have rules and it doesn't need to be strict. So let's get into the video and talk about these books. The first book on this list is If It Makes You Happy. Now, I'm quite literally in the middle of this, so I know that I'm gonna finish it, but I am loving it and I've been wanting to read it for so long now. Everyone was reading it during this fall time and I did not want to be left out, and I can tell you that this is amazing. This might be my favorite fall romance. This book is about Michelle, who has recently lost her mother and has recently been divorced also right at the same time, and she moves into this small town to take care of her mother's inn, which is supposed to go to her sister, but her sister is still finishing college, so she takes over the inn for a few months, and that's where she meets her next door neighbor, who she developed a friendship with and obviously a romance, but he just helps her settle into this town and figure out how to run this inn and how to be better at dealing with people and like customer service, kind of, because this is basically a grumpy sunshine trope, but she's the grumpy one and he is the sunshine, and I see myself so much in the FMC. And in the middle of this, I discovered that she is a Scorpio and our birthdays are very close to each other because my birthday is on October 25th and she said that her birthday is a few days before Halloween, so maybe we even share a birthday. I have no idea. I actually really want to find out, but wait, let me actually find this out because it would be really funny if we shared our birthday. Okay, so actually I cannot figure out if we share our birthday or not, but I just see myself a lot in her. I feel like sometimes I'm also very serious and I don't know how to deal with strangers and do small talk, and I really love their dynamic. It also reminded me of me and my boyfriend, so that might be why. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been tabbing it and I kind of regret not tabbing it right from the start. I'm honestly so excited to reread this like next fall. It kind of feels like watching Gilmore Girls, and not because this is like a copy paste from Gilmore Girls. It has that like nostalgic 90s feeling to it and I absolutely love it. It is a 500-page romance, which usually I'm like, why is it so long? But for this one, it is worth it. I feel like I really know these characters and I'm so invested. In these last few pages, I've been getting teared up just with the fact that this is wrapping up and with everything that's going on. So if you're still looking for a fall read, definitely pick this one up. I don't know what I'm rating it. I still have to figure out if it is a 5-star or not because it feels like a 5-star, but I can see its flaws. However, I love it despite the flaws, so maybe it is just a 5-star. It just makes me feel good. I'm including this one on this list because when I made that list, I hadn't started this book yet, so I count it as a success that we are one book down. Next up, we have my next read, which is Frankenstein. I have had this book for a year and I've been wanting to pick it up for so long. I've always heard that it is an easy classic if you want to start reading classics, and with the movie coming out, I just really want to read this first. It's also not that long. I think it's like 200 and something pages. I also found a free audiobook on Audible for this one, so I think I might do some immersive reading because since this is a classic, the writing is obviously a little bit more complex and old, and with English not being my first language, I find that it is a little bit harder for me to read these books and it takes me a long time to read a single page. It is about Frankenstein. He plunders graveyards for the material to fashion a new being, so I'm guessing he just gathers dead parts of other people and makes a creature. That's all I know. I don't want to know too much, but I'm very excited to read it. I'm going to start it tonight and hopefully I'll be done with it soon because I really want to watch the movie. The next book is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I have had this book for like 2 years at this point. It was one of the first like book talk books that I bought. I've heard that this is a very slow moving book, especially in the first like I think half of the book, and since it is a 500-page book, I think that has intimidated me so much. I really want to read this. I feel like I'm gonna love it. From everything that I've heard about this book, I think I'm gonna love it, but I'm just scared of big books and when people say that they move slow. And so since this one intimidates me so much, I got the audiobook on Audible just because lately I've been loving to do immersive reading. I've just been finding myself getting so distracted lately. I think it's definitely because I've been addicted to my phone, and so nothing can really capture my attention for a very long period of time. But I really want to read this book soon, and I think the immersive reading is really gonna help. This book is about a girl who makes a deal with the devil or a demon. Okay, it doesn't actually say if it is a deal with the devil, a demon, something like that. And in doing that deal, she ends up not being remembered by anyone that she talks to. So she hasn't been able to make connections with other people for centuries, I think. And I know that eventually she will meet a guy who actually remembers her, and I think there will be some sort of romance in this book. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I've been hearing on TikTok for like the longest time. I've seen a lot of quotes from this book that I love. Literally the quote on my YouTube header is from this book, and I love that quote. So I just really want to get into it, and I'm finally gonna do it. Like, I am promising myself that I'm gonna pick this up pretty soon. I have a reading vlog idea for this book that I'm very excited about, so I am going to read this. I am saying it right here. I cannot keep putting this book off for another year. And the next book on this list is also by V. Schwab, which is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I have been dying to read this one. Ever since people were saying that this is about toxic lesbian vampires, I was sold. And this book is also pretty long. It's also over 500 pages. And I've heard that this book is V. Schwab's most similar work to Addie LaRue. So I just want to read that one first. I don't know much about this book. I literally just know that this is about 3 vampire lesbians. I'm down with that. I don't need to know much more. I know that we follow them for a few centuries, and I think this book has a lot of reflections on immortality and the meaning of life when you live forever. I just opened this and it says, this is a story about hunger, this is a story about love, and this is a story about rage. And I'm sold. I don't need to know much more. And I honestly want to go into it as blind as possible. Next up is a book that I've also had for a while now, and that's The Secret History. I have actually started this book before, and I think I read like 80 pages, but I was kind of forcing myself to read it because it was my book club's book, and I didn't want to hurt this book's writing or this book's image in my head just because I wasn't in the right mood for it. So I just soft DNF'd it. And I also got the audiobook for this one also when I tried reading it. I think it was in March or something like that. I remembered that it was winter and I had romanticized reading this book during the fall time, and so when our book club picked it, I just really wasn't in the headspace to read this one, and so I never actually got to it. Now this book is intimidating because, number one, it is over 600 pages. It looks kind of small, but that's because the paper is quite thin. I don't know, I feel like it's one of those books that are so like critically acclaimed that it is intimidating to read because you're scared you're not gonna understand why people love it as much as they do and why it is so critically acclaimed. And I need to stop thinking like that because that's also why I don't read a lot of classics, and I would like to start reading more classics and more hard literature because I feel like that's also important, and it also is good to read books that are hard and that make you think more than just a silly romance. Not that silly romances aren't good, but they just serve different purposes. This book is about a college student who joins an exclusive kind of group that's led by his classics professor, and it's a very like elite, mysterious group that he really wants to be a part of. And right at the beginning, you find out that there's been a murder and the character Bunny has died. And so you just go back into the beginning of him trying to join this club. There's also a lot of commentary on elitism in the academia space, and that's all I know. Next up is actually another dark academia book. I think it's like a dark academia with fantasy, and I know that this book dives a lot into colonialism and how translation is an act of betrayal and is also part of colonialism, if I'm not wrong. Our main character is an orphan that comes from China, and he's brought to London by a professor that works in fable, which is the Institute of Translation in Oxford. And I think with the help of this professor, he has studied languages all his life to someday be able to enter fable. But the problem is, not only is it, once again, an over 500-page book, but I've also heard that R.F. Kuang's writing is very academic, and that sometimes that can make it either a bit boring or slow moving, or sometimes even not confusing, but just like there's a lot to digest, which is fine. I'm not saying that I don't want that in books, but that is a little intimidating for me. So that's why I haven't read this yet. But once again, I also bought the audiobook for this one just to make it a little bit easier and less scary. The next book is a book that's on my fall TBR and that I was supposed to read in October, but I didn't get to it, which is Slewfoot. I got this book recently because I really wanted to read it in October, and also because it has drawings, and so I really just wanted to have a physical copy and to be able to enjoy the drawings in my hands. And honestly, I don't know why I haven't read this yet. It is a pretty small read. I think it's like 300 and something pages, so there's truly no reason for me to not have read this yet. And it's one of the books on my TBR that I'm most excited to read. I just feel like I'm gonna love this book. But this book is about a woman in the 1600s in colonial New England who has recently been widowed, but I think she's accused of being a witch. The people in this village just don't like her and don't trust her, and she calls for Slewfoot to help her, and that's all I need to know, to be honest. Now, if you're curious as to what Slewfoot is, he's this guy. This right here. I think this is gonna be very fun, and the cover literally could not be more perfect. It is one of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen in my entire life. I do not want it to be collecting dust on my shelf. I want to read it as soon as possible, probably towards the end of the year, just considering all of the other reading vlogs that I want to do. Next up is a book that I've also had for a long time. This has been a common theme. I'm unfortunately terrible at reading my TBR, and that is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. In the back, it describes this book as being a letter from a son to a mother who cannot read, and I know it deals a lot with grief, and I think it also talks about queerness. And his family is from Vietnam, and I think it also talks a lot about the war impact on his family. I really think I'm gonna love this one, and I've been wanting to read it for a very long time. This has been on my TBR for over a year now. Now, the final two books on this list are Christmas books, because I want to be realistic, and I know for a fact that I want to read some holiday reads, so why not put it on this list and just make it a little bit easier to get through every single book. The first Christmas book that I want to read is The Gingerbread Bakery. Now, this book is a part of the Dream Harbor series, and this is a pretty awaited book in that series because it is about two characters that we have been seeing throughout all the series, and it's very much like rivals to lovers trope. And throughout all of the other books in this series, we have always seen these characters fighting and just bantering with each other back and forth and kind of hating each other supposedly, but you can very much tell that they're very into each other. And Annie runs the gingerbread bakery and Mac runs the bar in this town, and they have hated each other for years. I don't know why, to be honest. I feel like we're gonna find out, but it's just a fluffy Christmas read. And the final book on this list is Snowed In. I got the Audible audiobook. I honestly don't know much about this book, and I just want to go into it blind. I know it's gonna be a Christmas romance. I know they're gonna be fake dating, and I think they're gonna be snowed in a cabin for the holidays, and that's honestly all I need to know. People love it, and since I've seen a lot of people liking this book, I just got the Audible book, and we're gonna see. I just wanted something fluffy for Christmas. That is all the books that I have on my list. It is probably a little bit unattainable, but that is okay. Once again, reading has no rules, and this is just a priority list for me and something to keep me on track with what I want to be reading. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself because that's usually when I get into pretty big reading slumps. And that brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what's on your end of year TBR. And I'm really going to try to do Bookmas in December, but even if I don't, I'm going to be posting. So there's a lot of content coming. So subscribe if you haven't, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.